Say something, Hakim. Let me see if I can hear.
Shalom, Lord in Christ.
Yeah, most of us hear this too well. Hold on, this the hold on, where's the music coming from? Hold on, give me 1 second. I was trying to go. Can you hear the echo, Hakim?
Salakia?
Can you hear the echo?
Yeah, a little bit. Salakia, sir, someone's knocking at my door. Two seconds, yeah? Salakia.
No, sir. All right, let me see if it's. Give me 1 second. All right, this is the ISUPK Wednesday Law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. We also have classes here Monday through Friday. Yeah, we have classes here. Hold on, 1 second. We have classes here Monday through Friday, but we have them live here Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 7 p.m. till 9. Coming down to those 3 and 4 Lodge Road, B18 5PW. We also have the feast day coming up, which is December 17th. So coming down to that also. And today, as you know, the world calls it Remembrance Day and all of those things. The world calls it Remembrance Day. So we're going to go into Remembrance Day. What black people was doing, what World War I and World War II was about, why black people should have never fought in the oppressor's army, how we didn't gain nothing from it. We're going to go into all of that. We're also going to go into the royal family's ties to Nazi Germany and all of those things, man. We're going to go into all of those things with the proof, man. How they was part of the Nazi party, not all of them, but obviously the majority. How there was a German family, where they came from, how they got on the throne, all of those kind of things. So we're going to go into all of that if we have time. So we're going to start with, let's start with Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1.
Ecclesiasticus or Ecclesiastes, sir?
Ecclesiastes.
Okay. Salakia, so what was it?
Chapter 3 and verse 1.
One card. That's a book, you know.
So I can say that again.
I said that's a book. I just gotta find it. Where is that? Goddamn book. Where is it? Salakia. Let me just look in the context. Salakia. Okay.
So it should be after Proverbs.
Proverbs, yeah. Can't. Salakia, so what was it? Salakia, sir. Could you repeat it, sir?
Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
3.
And verse 1.
Verse 1. All right. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season.
To everything there's a season, man. So in life, what you'll find is there is a season to everything. There's a season to war. There's a season to peace. There's a season to everything. And at this time, they wanted war, man. At this time, you had what? England. No, you had Germany, who what? And all these next countries, man. You had the Allies, the Axis. In the other war, you had the Central Powers and all of these things. There's a time for peace and a time for war. Now, these nations, they all want to dominate, man. They all want to dominate. And this is, most of their wars comes from what? Them wanting money and power and rulership and all of those things, man. And now, there's a time, I read on actually.
Quran Khan. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
There's a time for every purpose under heaven. Go ahead.
Quran Khan. A time to be born and a time to die.
There's a time to be born, and then there's a time to die. And that's what happens with us. One day we're born, everyone's happy that we're born. You die, everyone's sad, everyone's crying. There's a time under heaven for everything. Go ahead. There's a time to be happy, a time to be sad. Time for war, a time for peace. Go ahead.
Quran Khan. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
Go ahead.
Quran Khan. A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up.
Just to let you know, there's a time under heaven for everything, a time to break down and a time to build up. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. A time to weep and a time to laugh.
A time to weep and a time to laugh. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. A time to mourn and a time to dance.
There's a time to mourn and a time to dance. So now with World War One, what happened? There was like a president or prime minister called Franz Ferdinand. So he was in his vehicle, and someone tried to put a bomb under his car, but the bomb didn't go off in time. So he escaped without injury, and then he went to visit the people at the hospital who was caught up in the bomb. They was caught up in the bomb. So he visited them at the hospital. Now, when he was going to visit them or coming back from there, what happened? His driver took the wrong turn, man. His driver took the wrong turn. And then when his driver took the wrong turn, he ended up being assassinated. He ended up being shot. So this was the cause of World War One. Why? Because Serbia, they believed they declared Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia because they believed they had something to do with it. So now once they declared war, what happens? Other countries who is tied to them countries then also go to war. And that's how you get world wars. Why? Because one country will lean towards this country, and then another country says, nah, I'm back in this country. Then another country says, nah, I'm back in this country. So now, in World War One, you had the Axis. So in World War One, the team siding with Serbia was who? Russia, Britain, France, Italy, and America. So it was those countries. Those countries was versing who? Those countries was versing Austria, Hungary, Germany, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. So all these countries is fighting. Why? Because a man got murdered, man. Because a man was assassinated. And this man was from Serbia. He was nothing to do with us. And what happens once England starts fighting? Guess what happens? All their colonies have to fight as well. So you had 2.1 million of Britain's colonies also fighting as well, man. Men from Britain, the Caribbean, Germany had their colonies fighting also. So what you'll find is the big men in this, they would sit back and the colonies would take the punishment, man. The colonies would fight, and they had us fighting, believing we're going to be a part of Great Britain. They had us fighting, believing once all of this is over, we're going to get citizenship in Great Britain. And that never happened, man. We fought in their wars and their armies, and guess what? After the war, what did they say to us? Go back to your own country, man. They said, go back to your own country. That was World War One. Then what happened? You had World War Two. Why did World War Two happen? Because Hitler invaded Poland, man. Hitler invaded Poland. So certain countries started declaring war on Germany. And the Germans was holding their own, man. The Germans was holding their own, but they was too widespread and too stretched out, and was fighting against too much opposition, or Germany would have whooped them. So now in World War II, who did you have? You had Germany, Italy, Japan, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria. They was all on one side. They was called the Allies. Then you had the Axis, who's who? Their opposition. And the Axis was who? America, Britain, France, Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, China, Denmark, Greece, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, South Africa, Yugoslavia, and now obviously Yugoslavia, I believe they've changed that name to Serbia. That name is Serbia nowadays. So that Germany was fighting. Germany, Italy, Japan, Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria was fighting against all those countries. They was fighting against all of those countries, man. And they was winning. They was dropping bombs everywhere, man. They was dropping bombs all in England, all over. Listen, man. The reason we have CCTV cameras today is why? Because they got the idea from the Germans, man. During World War II, what did the Germans invent? CCTV cameras, man. They invented CCTV cameras. Why? So they could see the rockets coming. Most of these things you see in England, they come from the Germans, man. Most of these things and this technology comes from Germany, man. CCTV came from Germany. The reason there's all these cameras on the streets recording everything you see, and the reason why people can have a CCTV security badge is because it came from Germany, man. The idea came from the Germans. The Germans had them CCTV cameras so they could see the rockets coming and believe them rockets was coming, man. Them rockets was coming. And all these countries was losing to Germany, so what did they have to do? Turn to their colonies. They turned to their colonies, why? Because they was losing, man. And they needed, you know what, more men. So what did they do? Use their smooth words to get us involved. Use their smooth words and said, you know what? We need you lot to help us. Because, you know, England's the mother country. And we can't have them attacking the mother country. And if you fight for us, you'll get citizenship. And after this, guess what happened? Black men that fought in the army was getting killed by white men that didn't even fight for their own countrymen. Imagine a white man that didn't even fight for his own country, that sat on the couch, drinking beer all day, man, has the cheek to tell you to get out of his country when you're the reason his country's still intact. You're the reason his country ain't like a wasteland right now. Why? Because you was fighting and building them trenches and dying from all diseases and getting trench foot and getting shot in the head while you was in the trench. And in the trench, there's rats in there, and there's frogs, and there's all kind of animals in there, man. And people's dying from all kinds of diseases. There's dead bodies in there. It's wet, it's muddy. Your legs full of gangrene. You're getting next kind of flus that you ain't even seen before. And you're dropping dead. Why? Because they had black people building the trenches. And they had a thing where called what? A black man couldn't harm a white soldier, man. Meaning you're a black man. You can't harm a German man. You can't harm a man from Germany. Why? Because you're black and they care more about their enemies than they do you, man. So what did you have to do? The jobs that nobody else wanted to do. Build the trenches, which is you just digging a trench so you can kind of be in the trench so you can move closer to where your enemy's line is. So you'd have your trench on this side, they'd have their trench on the other side. And what you would do is, if you popped your head up at the trench, chances are someone would blow your head off with a rifle. So you have to be very careful in them trenches. They were shooting from long distance while you was in them trenches. Hold that. Give me Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3.
Karawan Khan. Matthew,
I think it is it gone off?
Matthew 24, verse 3.
Hakim, did you say anything because the speaker was off?
Khan, I said Matthew 24, verse 3.
All right, no, sir. Did you say anything prior to that because the speaker was off the whole time?
No.
All right, no, sir. Also, any questions in the chat, just type them in and we'll get to them. Any questions, just type them in and we'll get to them. So in the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 3, go ahead.
Hold on, Matthew 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying,
Now Christ sat upon the Mount of Olives. This is after he's brought something down. Now they've come to him privately, meaning now they've come to him when it's just them and him. Go ahead.
Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming?
So now they want to know, when is these things going to be? And what is going to be the sign of your coming? So Christ is going to let them know wars and rumors of wars. And back then they had wars and rumors of wars before they actually went into the war. And what do we have right now? We have wars and rumors of wars. Every day, Russia and Ukraine and all of these things, and England sending billions of pounds for them to get weapons and all of those things. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. Tell us, when shall these things be?
So now they said, when shall these things be? Go ahead.
And what shall be the sign of the coming, of thy coming, and of the end of the world?
Go ahead. So
Khan.
now, what's the sign of you coming? And what's the end of the world? Now, when it says the end of the world, this is talking about the end of the reign of our oppressor, man. The end of his world. This ain't talking about the whole world's just going to have a black screen and it's over with. And it's done. No. It's talking about the end of the world as we know it, meaning the end of his rulership. They want to know, when is it going to happen? Why? Because they're oppressed under the Romans, man. And the Romans is conquering everywhere. The Romans is ruling. What you'll find is all these Edomites today is just an extension of the Romans, man. You'll see that they do the same things that the Romans did. They oppressed the whole earth the same way the Romans did, because they are the Roman Empire. They just changed their name to the British Empire, the Dutch Empire, the Greek Empire, the German Empire. They just changed their names. You see how those different factions of Romans, you had the western side and the eastern side, the Byzantine and so forth. Different sections of the Roman Empire, man. It's now the same thing that we see today. Different factions of the Roman Empire. When you see Britain, Germany, and then when they fight each other, they get us involved, man. The thing is this, in the book of Revelations, it talks about the dragon with 7 heads. And because there's 7 heads, everyone believes that they should be in charge. So sometimes these heads begin to fight each other, man. And once these heads begin to fight each other, what do? They get their colonies involved, man. These 7 heads done took over the whole world and have colonies on top of colonies on top of colonies. And we end up fighting for them, man. Go ahead.
Salaki, sir, if I could.
Go ahead.
I thought the Roman Empire was Italy. I didn't know it was British people, but it's the same kind of people I know. Edomites, but I thought they was in Italy is where they origin. You know, that's where I thought the Romans were. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you'll find if you go earlier on in history, you'll see that the Roman Empire conquered lands. So most of the Japhetic people, the Roman Empire conquered them. So the Roman Empire in sometime in AD, they conquered Britain, and that faction of the Roman Empire became the British. And that's why you have Roman roads in London, and that's why you have a place in London called Roman London. Hold on, let me pull it up for you. There's a place called Roman. Before it was called London, it was called Londinium. Hold on.
Oh, Londinium. Okay.
Let me pull it up for you. Hold on. Let me pull it up for you. I just need to add myself to the stream on here. Let's stream. Hold on. Share screen. All right, let me know if you see that on the. Let me know if you see that on the screen. Has it come up yet?
Sir.
Hold on, I got this one.
Yeah, can't sir.
All right, can you see it?
Yeah, I can read that. Londinium, also known as Roman London.
Also known as what?
Roman London.
Romans was in London also. They first started off in London. I'm sure they first started off by where the Thames and stuff is.
Right.
They like Britain. Why? Because it was close to the water. They like lands because you see when land is close to the water, it's harder to be attacked because you're surrounded by water. But when the border of a next land is just a line from your land to their land, guess what happens? People can then walk across.
Right.
Walk across. But if you're surrounded by water, it's harder for people to attack.
They're gonna see you coming.
Yeah, it's easier for people to ship things to you as well. So read on.
Kadawan Khan was the capital of Roman Britain during.
Londinium was the capital of Roman Britain. Go ahead.
Kadawan Khan during the most of the period of Roman rule.
So now England it was their capital during most of the period of Roman rule. So if you was to look in London right now, there's a gladiator arena in London till this day. There's a gladiator arena right there in London until this day. It's shaped the same, it's built the same, but not a lot of people know that it goes back to the same ones that what you would read about in the book of Maccabees. All of those things. So let's see what the same people read on.
So like yourself, do they put the arenas where they put us, right?
The arena, you can't put us there and put animals there and all kind of things going on there.
Right, okay, can't.
All kind of things there.
Can't.
That was like football stadiums and stuff today. Go ahead.
Khan. It was originally a settlement established on the current side of the city of London around AD 4750.
So now this is AD 47. So this is like 47 years after Christ, because they conquered England. They went to England, and the Japhetic people was there, and they went on an elephant and scared them to death, and killed all of them. Well, got rid of them, murdered them, and then they took over England. So they took over England, and then afterwards you'd find that different factions of the Edomites was fighting to try and rule England, and that's where you get all these things from, Wessex and Mercia, and this is where all your programs, the Last Kingdom and Vikings and all of them things comes from.
Right.
It was fighting back then. So now, so now it's called Roman London because Romans were occupying Arida.
Kadwan Khan, it sat at a key crossing point over the River Thames.
And they liked it because it was close to the River Thames. So if it's close to the River Thames, what does that mean? Your deliveries can get shipped in nice and easy. If anyone wants to attack you, you see them coming over the Thames, you see a ship that you don't recognize. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, which turned the city into a road nexus.
Go ahead.
And major port, serving as a major commercial center in Roman Britain.
Serving as a major commercial center in Roman Britain. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan, until its abandonment during the 5th century.
Go ahead.
Following the foundation of the town in the mid-1st century, early Londinium occupied the relatively small area.
Actually, are you good with that?
Yeah, can't say. It just need to be a little bigger. That's all.
No, I wasn't about. Are you good with that Romans occupied?
Can't say. Yeah, can't. Thorda. Yeah, that was on point. Thorda, sir.
So yeah, Romans occupied England, and they also occupied other lands. So what you'll find is the Romans also went to France. Back then, they was called the Franks. What did the Romans do? Conquered it. What you'll find is most European countries belong to Japhet. What you'll find is England also had 13 colonies in America. England had 13 colonies in America also, and that's what you always hear about 13 colonies and America getting their independence, independent from Great Britain, basically, because they had 13 colonies there. The British also took over basically South Africa, Australia, and they would go to your land and they would take it over. And that's why the Edomites in Great Britain today is just an extension of the Romans. What happened is they called it Londinium, Roman Britain, and then what did they do? They had children, and then their children ended up doing what? Staying here and becoming the British that you know today, becoming the Irish that you know today. I think that the speaker's gone off again quite as well. Is it on? The quite as well?
Can't, sir.
It's on. So now they became the British, they became the French, they became everybody, and it all started off from the Romans branching out. And then them Romans that branched out, those is the 7 heads you read about in the book of Revelations. 7 heads, why? Because they branched out to all these different places. So where was we?
We was at verse 4.
Yeah, go ahead.
Khan. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
So Christ said, take heed that no man deceive you. Why? Because there's a lot of trickery going on. There's a lot of deceivers gone out into the world. There's a lot of false prophets gone out into the world, teaching you all sorts of nonsense, man. So take heed that no man deceive you. There's people that teach you that there's no God. Some scientists will tell you that there's no God. And then when you do the proof and the research, you'll 100% find that there is a God, man. You'll 100% find that there is, man. There's some people that teach you, the earth's going to be, there's going to be no more water on earth in this amount of years and humanity's going to be gone. They teach you all sorts of lies, man. Listen, these records is true. The scientific evidence in these records. What scientists is finding out today was in these records thousands of years ago, man. Was in these records before we even knew what it meant. Read on.
Kadawan Khan. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ.
Go ahead.
And shall deceive many.
And many people come in the name of Christ saying that they're him and deceiving many and getting you to follow them. They get you to follow them to your death, man. You follow them and it ends up being the death of you because you've been deceived and you followed someone who is not Christ and who is not a follower of Christ, man.
Khan.
Go ahead.
Kadawan Khan. And ye shall hear of wars.
And ye shall what?
Hear of wars.
It says, and ye shall hear of wars. And in World War One, the Germans they were attacking with chlorine gas and all of them things, man. They was attacking with those kind of things. They had submarines that was sinking enemy ships, and these was all the wars and the rumors of wars. Go ahead.
Kadawan Khan. See that ye be not troubled.
See that ye be not troubled. Listen, man. England and Germany, they got like each other for years. They had the battle at Jutland, which was a battle at sea, where they had guns on their ships and all of those things. These nations have all of these things, man. They have all this money for wars and weapons, and us as black people can't get a penny, man. We can't get no reparations, but then we must go and fight in their military. We must go and fight in their wars. And even when you do fight in their wars, you don't get a good position in the war. You have to just dig the trench. You can't harm a white soldier. You know why you can't harm a white soldier? Because they don't want their brother to be killed by the hands of a nigger, man. They don't want that. They don't want you to get no glory. And this is why after the war, who's all the war heroes? It's not black people.
And Salakia, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Salakia, I mean, they probably got it from us because, like, when Solomon was it when Solomon was killed, and one of the enemy tried to bring his head to David, and David just killed him right there and then because he brought, you know what I mean, a heathen brought the head of, was it the head of Solomon?
I think you mean when he killed it when the guy killed his son, shot him up with the arrows on the tree. Absalom.
Nah, Salakia, maybe I got it wrong, sir. Yeah, no, I don't think it's that one. But they brought him to I think David, and David was like, you know, just because you brought him to me, it doesn't, and then just killed him there and then. I'm just
Absalom when he went to David and said, "Look, I got him."
Okay, right.
Yo, I hit him up with some arrows.
Can't. Because
he had long hair, his hair got caught in the tree.
Right. Okay.
Lit him up with some arrows.
Right. Okay.
And they did learn to fight from us. Like when you say that they did learn to fight from us, because what you'll find is that it tells you that they learned guerrilla warfare from what? Their wars with the Maroons, man. They learned how to fight from the Maroons. You know why? Because you see, when you see in all these movies, people with guns shooting and rolling around. That's what black people was doing, whereas the oppressor in a shooting match, what he would do is just stand there like this and not move off the spot. He was getting killed, man. He would not move off the spot. He would stand there on one spot. And then they learned guerrilla warfare from the Maroons, man.
Right.
And then they implicated that in their army and their fighting style. So a lot of their fighting style really comes from us.
So like,
go ahead.
And Salakia, sir, just to add to that, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I remember when the Benjamites nearly wiped out the whole of Israel. Yeah, and I think that was guerrilla. There must have been some serious SAS of today. There must have been, and probably that's where they got it from. You know.
Listen, man, them brothers were warriors, man, and then the Lord had to step in and help all the other tribes, man, because Benjamin was having their way with them. The Lord stepped in, and about 700 men, I believe, ran to the mountains. But
yeah, Salakia.
Go ahead, read on.
For all these things must come to pass.
All these things must come to pass. These wars and these rumors of wars. And every time they have a war, what do? They have Remembrance Day. And on Remembrance Day, a black man can't get a thank you, can't get a dime. The Queen ain't never visited the cenotaph of black people, man. She ain't never visited that little cenotaph in Brixton, that small one which is barely 5 feet tall, man. She ain't never visited that. But the one, where is it, Hacken? Is it Knightsbridge?
Central.
Central.
But
Yeah, the one in Central, she visits it every single year. Her and Charles go there every single year, man. And they have the 21 gun salute, and they lay the reef down. But black people can't get none of these things. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan. But the end is not yet.
But the end is not yet, meaning these things will happen, but the end is not yet. And at the moment, they're on the brink of World War III, and they start up, and then it goes quiet again. The wars and rumors of wars. Boris Johnson will send all this money, then it goes quiet again. He'll send more money, then it goes quiet again. Then they'll say that. Then Putin will say, "Yo, I got a bomb that can sink the whole of the United Kingdom." Then it goes quiet again. Don't worry if they sink the whole of the United Kingdom, man. Don't worry about that mortgage and that house. Let them sink it, man. Listen, man. These oppressors got way more to lose in this kingdom than we do, man. Let them lose it all, man. Understand this. They need to fight for their kingdom. Why? Because this is their last chance of ever owning anything. This is their last chance of ever ruling anything. Whereas your chance is coming to rule the whole earth, man.
Right.
Where there's going to be no more war, man. There's going to be no more war, no more rumors of wars, no more people trying to invade your land. The beatdown that Christ is going to put on them, they're going to be in order forever, man. That beatdown he's going to put on them, they're not going to, listen, they're going to get PTSD every time they see a weapon, man. The beating that he's going to give them, every time, the beating that he's going to give them every time they think of war, they're going to be like, we don't want this, man. We remember what happened to our forefathers, man. How black men destroyed all of them. They don't want that smoke, man. So listen, these wars and these rumors of wars, it's going to happen, man. Read on.
So like you said, that's biblical as well. I mean, I think there's a precept to that as well. What you just said, where they said they lay down their weapons and they don't want war no more. Is that the right one, or is that us?
They're going to beat it into plowshares. They're going to turn their weapons into tools, man. Their weapons is going to be turned from weapons to
gardening tools.
So they're going to be no more running around with grenades and rocket launchers. That's going to be a thing of the past, man. What this man is going to be doing is turning his tank into a lawnmower to cut your grass, man.
Right.
That's what he's doing, man. He's going to be turning it into a lawnmower to cut your grass. He's going to be turning his fighter jets into tall ladders to clean the windows in the top of your buildings and them things, man. Listen, man. He ain't going to know about war no more. Because once Christ deals with them, no war's going to match it, man. Nobody's going to want war after seeing that, man.
That's true.
Nobody's going to want to smoke with him after seeing that.
Right.
What verse you at?
Middle of actually 7.
Yeah, go ahead. Read to 8 and then we'll jump into it.
Kadwan Khan. For nation shall rise against nation.
And it says, nation shall rise against nation. And what you're having is nations is rising against nation. And that happened in World War I and World War II. And in World War I and World War II, nations was rising against nation. And because we was colonies of the British, they lied to us and said, yo, you're part of our nation, so you have to fight. So you have men like Walter Tull and Charles Wooten all do what? Fight for a country that would never fight for them. Fight for a country that would never fight for them. Imagine this. The whole world went to war over one man getting killed in World War I. Franz Ferdinand was one man. The whole world went to war because one man got killed. And the amount of million of niggas that get killed, don't nobody go to war for us, man. The amount of us that gets killed, thrown off ships, nobody ain't said, yo, we're going to war because of how black people's being treated. World War II, they went to war, why? Because Hitler invaded Poland. What about when the British and the Spanish invaded the Caribbean, man? What about when the French invade other countries? Don't nobody say, yo, we're going to war because you've harmed the black people. Don't nobody say that, man. Nobody don't say none of those things. But what they do is go to war for the Polish. What they do is go to war for Franz Ferdinand from Serbia. But a black man who is God's chosen people, nobody wants to go to war for. Listen, man, these other nations don't deserve to be shown no mercy because they've never stepped up and said, yo, we're boycotting anything because of how they've treated black people. There's nobody that's never once said, we stand with black people. Listen, I've never seen none of these oppressors say, yo, you black people's been into slavery, I stand with you, slavery is wrong. I've never heard them say that. But when it comes to other races, the whole world's quick to go to war and get their military weapons out the cupboard and blow things up and shoot rockets. But when it comes to black people, what do people do? Oh, you enslave them and it makes good money. Why don't we enslave them too? Why don't we go enslave some more? That's what they do to us, man. They do all of those things to us. They've never once said, we're going to go fight for black people. They've never once said, listen, Germany and all of these countries and England and France have never once said, you know what? We side with you, black people. We see what you're going through. But when one man gets killed by the name of Franz Ferdinand, the whole world has a World War I over him, man. When the Polish gets invaded by their own people, the whole world goes to war. Meanwhile, the Caribbean was invaded by who? The British, man, and the Spanish. They went and slaughtered the natives that was there originally, man. They slaughtered the Arab Indians who occupied Jamaica originally, man. They slaughtered them, and they said, you know what, this land is good. It's called Zamaka with an X. So they used to spell it Xaymaca, and they called it the land of wood and water. So that's what it meant. This is the land of wood and water. That's what Jamaica means. So they went there, slaughtered the natives, the Spanish, and then the British started saying, yo, that's a good land, man. See, and you got India online saying Caribbean was an empty land. Listen, man. I ain't even got the time, but just to quickly prove that we know everything and he knows nothing. Hold on. All you have to do is type in Arawak Indians Jamaican. It should come up. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, Salakia, sir. Says the original inhabitants of Jamaica.
It says the what?
The original.
To the stream.
Salakia, sir.
Yeah, I added it to the stream. Can you see it?
I'm reading it off my one. Salakia.
You can read it off your own as well.
Yeah, can't, no sweat. It says here the original inhabitants of Jamaica are believed.
It says the what?
The original inhabitants of Jamaica.
So Marlon, you're wrong there. You're saying Jamaicans are from West Africans. I said to you the Arawak Indians originally inhabited Jamaica. I didn't say nothing about Jamaicans in West Africa. I said the original inhabitants of Jamaica was who? The Arawak Indians. And what we're saying right now, we're showing you on Google, so we ain't making it up. Read that from the top, Hakian.
Sir. The original inhabitants of Jamaica are believed to be the Arawaks, also called the Tainos. See, now you're saying we got it from an unofficial web. Listen, read on. Khan. They came from South America.
Go ahead.
2,500 years ago.
Go ahead.
And named the island
Zamaka.
Salakia, what is that word?
Zamaka.
Yeah. Which meant the land of wood and water. Zamaka.
Which meant what?
Land of wood and water.
Which meant the land of wood and water. So the Arawak Indians originally inhabited Jamaica until some devil stumbled across them, until the Spanish went there and slaughtered them. And then the British said, yo, we can make money off this land. And then they started shipping the Benjamites and stuff over from West Africa to Jamaica. So no, Jamaica wasn't empty. So Marlon, the Caribbean wasn't empty. Because here it's letting you know the original inhabitants, before a white man stepped foot on there, the original inhabitants was the Arawak Indians. And the Spanish came and stumbled across them and started to enslave them and murder them. And then years down the line, once the British took over that land, they started shipping over the Benjamites from West Africa. and then that's how we got to Jamaica.
Right.
So yeah, that's.
So Salaki, sir. So would the Benjamites be anything like it, because there's a lot of Benjamites that's got Indian in them, isn't it?
Mm,
So would that be related to the East Indian or these Arawak Indians?
it could be both because there's still Native American Indians in the Caribbean today, but there's a lot of East Indians there as well.
Khan.
So what you would have to do, you'd have to speak to them and decipher, yo, what kind of Indian is in you, and then they will know. They'll tell you, oh, Arawak Indian, Taino Indian, or they will say, oh yeah, my forefathers is from India. They came over in the 1800s, and then this is an Elamite.
So you're Benjamin. I mean, and you basically you wouldn't basically call yourself a Jamaican then, right?
Before we was ever called Jamaican, we was Benjamites.
Benjamites, yeah, Khan, right.
Well, now we just call ourselves Jamaican. Why? Because we was in the land of Jamaica.
Right.
Same way we call ourselves English, same way we call ourselves British, because we was in that land. But sorry, say that again.
You got there from Salakia, sir, from ships, right? Being sent over from Africa, right?
Right.
Where and so that was the slave Atlantic trade, right?
Yeah. So they called it the triangular route.
The triangular.
The slave ship would come to West Africa. It would give the Africans handkerchiefs and musket guns and all of those things. Then they'll take the slaves to the Caribbean, and then while they drop the slaves off in the Caribbean, they would load up the previous stock that was in the Caribbean, like the wool that the slaves already had got ready for them, the wool, the tobacco, all of those kind of things, and then they would take it right to Liverpool, back to England, and then someone in England would have all this wool, and then he would be selling T-shirts and selling all of these kind of things, and selling sugar and sugar cane and all of these kind of things.
Right.
So every time you see a white man ask for extra sugar, just know that your ancestors was out there cutting down that sugar cane, man. Tuesdays I want a nice cotton T-shirt. Just know your forefathers was picking cotton on these islands. So before we was ever Jamaican, we was Israelites. We've always been Israelites. But because we lived in the land of Jamaica and we can only go that far back, we would be like, we are Jamaican. So that's why we call ourselves Jamaican.
Right,
when realistically Jamaica was just a land where we carried out our slavery.
Right.
So we carried out our slavery there. And then obviously other Caribbean islands like is it Belize, not Belize, which one is it now? I can't remember which one it is. There was one of them where it was uninhabited and the British went there to watch out for the Spanish. So it was on the island to watch out for the Spanish. And they said, you know what? This looks like a good island, man. We should bring some slaves here. And then they ended up bringing slaves there. Right. I believe that was Belize or one of them. So that's how slaves ended up going there. They went there originally because the Spanish used to attack them. So as the Spanish was coming to attack them, they'd watch them from Belize. I think it's one of them.
Right.
And then they looked at the land and said, damn, this land's good, man. We should bring some slaves here. And then slaves ended up being carried there. Right. That's how it spread out all over the Caribbean by just discovering lands and saying, yeah, we should just put some slaves here. And that's how they spread out all of that. But
okay, no sir.
Where was we?
We're now going on to Salaki, we was on Nation Rise Against Nation, Salaki 7.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Kodawan Khan, and Kingdom Against Kingdom.
And Kingdom against Kingdom. So nation against nation and kingdoms against kingdoms. So they would all fight each other. And these things have to happen. You don't be trying to be the peacemaker between all these nations. Don't be trying to be a peacemaker. You let them fight, man. Because they're in there fighting. These things have to happen so we can get to the end of their rulership, man. They need to destroy each other and move each other out of the way. And then when Christ comes, they're all going to come together and try to fight against him. And he's going to destroy them, man. And then once he destroys them, guess what's going to happen? We're going to get our rulership and our kingdom and all of those things, man. Well, nobody deserves to rule more than us. Once we rule this earth will be run righteously, man. Once we run this earth, it's gonna be run righteously.
Right.
Every nation's gonna love it, man.
Right.
You love this earth once it's run righteously. Righteous judgment, righteous rulership, righteous people ruling. The earth's in the state of mourning right now. Why? People running it ain't got a clue. You're changing prime ministers every 5 minutes. You got no idea, man. You're changing your prime minister every 5 minutes. Listen, man. In the last 2 years, I've seen more prime ministers in the last 2 years than I've seen in my whole life, man. Because your country's crumbling, man. Things have to happen. Obviously, you're changing leaders so much. Why? Because you realize the people you're putting in charge shouldn't lead, man. Maybe you should give the keys to the ISUPK, man. This earth will be set in order. This earth will be set in order. Everyone will be put in their place. This earth will rejoice, man. Put the right people in rulership. Go ahead.
So, like you, sir. So nation against nation is basically race wars, right?
Right. Race wars and kingdom against kingdom would be countries against countries.
Right, sir.
So your nation would be what race you're from. So the nation against nation is like your race rights and so forth. Go ahead.
What about the coon? Where's the coon gonna go?
That's what I'm saying. The coon, he's gonna try and join them, and they're gonna end up killing them. The thing is this: when there's race riots, you don't have enough time to say to your enemies, "I'm a black man, but I'm not like them black men." You don't have enough time to say that. During the race riots, they're just coming to kill you because of the color of your skin. I mean, those coons in slavery, and guess what? They were still picking cotton, man. They were still picking cotton. They might have got a little bit of extra benefits, but what? They were still slaves, man. And all of those kind of things. Go ahead.
Khan. And there shall be famine and pestilence. And
there shall be famine and pestilence. You're going to have famines and all of these things. Listen, man. In some places, they're talking about the running out of water and they're going into the reserves. Half the reservoirs is looking empty, man. Half the reservoirs, you're looking at it now, you see, there's hardly any water there. Go ahead.
Khan, and earthquakes in diverse places.
Earthquakes in diverse places. Drop that for time's sake. Give me Exodus chapter 1 and verse 9.
Khan. Exodus 1 verse 9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Go ahead.
Khan. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
And in World War I and World War II, they dealt wisely with us. And how did they deal wisely with us? Promised us, you know what? You are going to be a part of Great Britain. We're going to make you a part of Great Britain. You're coming into Great Britain, man. Come and fight for us. And you see all the horrible things we've done to you. It will go away and you'll be British because you're going to be in the uniform of the king.
Right.
You're going to be in the uniform of the king. And we was in the uniform of the king. Guess what? You can wear the king's uniform, but to them, you're still just a nigger, man. I don't care what uniform you got on. You can have on the uniform of the king, the police's uniform. You can be knighted. Once you have skin this color, you're just a nigger to them, man. Right. That's all you are to them, man. No, they don't care about your outwards apparel, what you're wearing. If your race don't match what they want it to be, you're just a nigger in the king's uniform, man. Right. And they look at you like you shouldn't be wearing it. And because they look at you like you shouldn't be wearing it, guess what? Because of the color of my skin, I can't fight for your army, man. Because I'm fighting a war that's not mine. The color of my skin makes your war, not my war, man. I need to fight for my people, man. That's what I need to do. I need to fight for my people. The color of my skin is the reason why I can't join your army, man. Color of my skin means God loves me and I have laws, statutes, and commandments to keep. And part of the law says I can't join your military. I can't fight for you, man.
That's right.
Why am I fighting for you? I'm going against the order of God. God is the reason why you nations are fighting, and He wants you to all destroy yourself. And the Lord ain't going to stop His plans for me joining your army. I'm just going to die in your army. So that's why we should never fight for them, man. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
They said, let us deal wisely with them. They said, let us deal wisely with them. And they that so wise with us, man. And they bamboozled us and had us believing, you know what? If we join their military, we're going to be accepted in Great Britain. We thought if we join their military, the future of our children is going to be in Britain and they're going to be treated good. If those men that died in World War One and World War Two could look down now and see how black men is still being killed, they would have turned their back on World War One and World War Two, man. Right. They would have said, we ain't fighting, man. That's what they would have said. If they could look at the state of Britain right now and see how no progress has been made, imagine between racism back then and now, no progress has been made to stop it. The racism still exists. I don't care how much medals you've got from the oppressor, you're still a nigger, man. That's right. That's what they look at. They don't care about how much medals you've got, how long you've been in the military. They don't care about none of that. Drop that. Give me Psalms chapter 55 and verse 21.
Psalm 55, 21. Psalms 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
And his words are smooth. Come and fight for England and you'll get citizenship. You're a colony of Britain and we fight for each other and we love one another. And you join us and we'll do this for you. His words were smoother than butter, man. Go ahead.
Khan. But war was in his heart.
And war was in his heart. After World War One and World War Two, what did he say?
War.
Go back to the Caribbean, man. The war's over. Go back to Jamaica. The war's over. Get the hell out of England, man. That's what he said. War was in his heart, man. Even though he tells you these kind words, but he don't mean these kind words. As soon as the war's over, he wants you to get the hell out of his country, man. He wants you out of his country.
Can't Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
And they want you out, and this is how much they think of us, right? They'll bring the enemy in. They'll bring all the Afghanistan, what are they called?
Afghanistan's and Ukraine
in the country who have done nothing but murder and kill and rape. You know, that's how much they think of us.
For real? They never fought for Britain. Meanwhile, you did. And you don't get no privileges. They should say, well, you know what? They helped us in these wars. They helped us win these wars. Let's allow them to stay. They've never said that, man. They said, you black people, get the hell out of England, man. They said, the war's over. Get the hell out of England. That's what they said. Get me Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 33.
Lucky, what was that, sir?
Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 33.
Jeremiah 2. Jeremiah 2, verse 33. Why trimmest is that the one? Jeremiah 3, Salakia.
Yeah, go ahead.
33. Jeremiah 3:33, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, there's not a 33 there.
Jeremiah. Hold on. What's the last verse say?
We lie down in our shame.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Why trimmest thou thy way?
Yeah, that's the one. What verse is that?
So, lucky, that's 2. Jeremiah 2:33. You may have said. I may have missed it. So, lucky. Jeremiah 2:33. Why trimmest thou thy ways to seek love?
Says, why trimmest thou ways to seek love? We change our ways to seek love, man. We change our listen. What we do is we change our ways to seek love. Hold on 1 second, I'm just trying to find something in this book.
Can't say.
Hold on. Potters, read this for me as well as supplying, man. Give me that. So, this is a book called Great Water Race Riots. So now this is going to let you know what some people in the Caribbean did once they found that Britain was going to war. Go ahead.
as well as supplying men and women.
So now, this is like from Barbados and them places, says as well as supplying men and women. Go ahead.
Colonial citizens raise thousands.
Says colonial citizens raise thousands. Imagine you're a colony of the British and you're making money for them when they're making money off you.
Right.
So imagine you're giving the little bit of money that you get back to them and they're making all this money off you. Go ahead.
Raise thousands of pounds to send directly to Britain.
Imagine this. Caribbean islands raise thousands of pounds to send to Britain, man. Imagine this. We helping the oppressors.
Right.
We ain't supposed to send them a penny, man.
That's right.
We ain't supposed to give them nothing. We're supposed to watch them go to war and whoever wins here, whatever, let them win. It's not our problem, man. But these people felt so much that they was a part of Great Britain that they had to send their own money, that they had to help pay money to help Britain win wars. And these people paid money and still didn't get to England, man. Read on.
Thousands of pounds to send directly to Britain to support the war effort.
Go ahead.
Barbados, for example, in addition to the military support, offered the British government £20,000.
Listen, man. Back then, £20,000 was a lot of money. Back then, that would have been like in your millions today, I believe, or something hundred thousands today. Now they offered £20,000 to the British, man. Imagine that. All the poor, starving children in Barbados, all the poor, starving children in the Caribbean, and you'd rather go give that money to some devil to go fund the war. You would give that money to a devil to go fund the war. Meanwhile, there's children starving in Barbados. There's children barefooted, hungry, going to bed, screaming at night because they can't sleep because of the hunger pains. You would look past all of that to go and help Great Britain, man. And we do all these things to seek love. We do all these things to seek love from the oppressor. And in the midst of all of these things, guess what happens? He still doesn't give us his love. Go ahead.
£20,000 in money or sugar. As a result, around 1,000 tons of sugar was shipped to England.
Around what?
1,000 tons of sugar was shipped to England.
So now they started shipping sugar to England. Imagine we're giving them stuff that they made us slaves for. We should be like, damn, the British made me a slave. I want them to get whooped in this war. That's what we should have been like. We should have been like, I don't care who wins, but I'd rather the British not win because how they've treated my people. But what did we do? We sent them money. Go ahead.
And contributions from the island were repeated annually for the duration of the war.
So every year they're giving out all this money. Imagine the Caribbean ain't rich like that, but they're giving out money annually, meaning every year, every time they get money, they're giving out money. Go ahead, is there anyone on that?
It is estimated that approximately £80,000 in cash and £20,000 in sugar.
Listen, man, they gave £80,000 in cash, £20,000 in sugar. The thing is, you're looking at £80,000. Hold on, let me see if I can do the conversion. So that would have been, hold on, that would have been like 1914. All right, so let's £80,000 in 1914. Listen, so now £1 in 1913 was worth £109. So hold on, £109. Let me calculate it. So £109 times 80,000. Listen, man, they gave almost £9 million away, man.
God damn.
They gave almost £9 million away, man, to help the British. That don't include the sugar. That's just the money. They gave all that away, man. And hold on, that's on the lower end. They say in 1916, £1 was £1 in 1916. It was £132. Hold on, let me do it. Let me do that one because that's more accurate. So hold on, 132 times 80,000. Yeah, it says they gave away 10.5 million. They gave away 10.5 million to help Great Britain win the war, man. Imagine that. The Caribbean ain't rich as it is, but when it comes to loving your oppressor, you can raise up 10.5 million.
Can't.
to help them win a war. Whereas imagine that for black people, you can't raise up a penny, man. For your brother that ain't got food and clothes, you can't raise up a penny. But for the damn devil the Bible speaks of, you can raise up 10.5 million, man. We need to do better as black people, man.
Right.
We need to do better. How are we giving away 10.5 million to the oppressor to help him in the war when he's the reason why we in the low state that we are, and he's in this horrible position that we are? Is that anyone that put us up?
That's it.
Pass it up. Pass it. Let me see if I can find the rest. Yeah, all right, give me, hold on. Give me this page here, where it says home rule. Give me this page here.
Home rule. Jamaican nationalist Marcus Garvey.
So now it says Jamaican nationalist Marcus Garvey, who the world loves so much. Marcus Garvey, to say he was a leader for black people, and Marcus Garvey with his Back to Africa movement. Let's see what Marcus Garvey did. Some man that he loves so much. Go ahead.
On behalf of the Universal Negro Improvement.
So now here the movement, the Universal Negro Improvement. Go ahead.
Association sent a telegram to the colonial office.
So now Marcus Garvey sent a telegram to the office, meaning a message. Go ahead.
In London,
he sent a message to London. He sent this is during the wartime. Marcus Garvey sent a message to London. Go ahead.
Expressing our loyalty and devotion.
Wait. Marcus Garvey expressed his what?
Our loyalty.
Listen, Marcus Garvey expressed his loyalty to the white man too, man.
Right.
Don't let Marcus Garvey fool you, man.
That's true.
Marcus Garvey expressed loyalty to the oppressor too. Don't let him lie and make out he was all for black people. The only place on this earth which is for black people is the ISUPK, man.
That's right.
You're never hearing us express our loyalty to no oppressor, man.
Right.
But Marcus Garvey expressed loyalty to these oppressors. Read on. Let's see what Marcus Garvey said.
To His Majesty the King.
To his what?
To His Majesty the King.
He even called the king his majesty. Marcus Garvey even called the king his majesty, man. Go ahead.
An empire. Praying for the success.
Wait. Marcus Garvey did what?
Praying for the success.
Marcus Garvey prayed for the success of the British Empire. Your pro-black movements ain't really that pro-black, man.
Right.
It's just that you don't do the history. Every last one of them loved their oppressor, man. Marcus Garvey prayed for Great Britain's success. That's documented. Go ahead, read on.
So that
go ahead, Duncan.
It coming like they document foolishness or things that make our leaders look dumb. Because like when we look at it now, we're looking at him as our people, we're looking at him as a leader. And now look, coming out of, being out of the world and now coming into the truth, that's just foolish. It just looks so backward.
One is how you gotta look at it is whenever the oppressor gives you a hero, that means he must be an enemy to black people. The thing is this, whenever there's a hero, there's also a villain. Like with us, the ISUPK, we heroes to black people. And to the oppressor, we are villain, man. Why? Because we go against what he stands for. All these other so-called black leaders, they're in league with the oppressor, and that's why they're heroes. Your Martin Luther Kings and all of those kind of things.
And
they get their own. Sorry, I can say that again.
And the oppressor don't respect them at all.
He just uses them to get to you. Pull it this way, he pulls their strings, and then you think, okay, then I'm following Marcus Garvey and Martin Luther King, when really you're following the white man. He's just behind the scenes. That's what he does, man. You're really just following him, but you think you're following them. When really following them is really following him, because what he learns is from them, and who he loves is them. Read on.
Praying for the success of British arms on the battlefields of Europe.
Wait, he prayed for the what?
The success of British arms.
He prayed for the success of the British Empire, man. Listen, a man that's supposed to be against the British Empire, how are you praying that they win a war, man? Listen, you're meant to hope that they lose the war. Read on.
On the battlefields of Europe and Africa, and at sea, Gandhi, the most celebrated of Indian nationalists.
And what you'll find is, even East Indians don't like Gandhi. Because they will tell you that Gandhi was a sellout. They don't even like him. They more prefer Udham Singh, who was a man that put a revolver in a book. He cut out pages in a book, put a revolver in there, and he killed the man that gave the order for the Amritsar massacre. So there's a thing in India, it's called the Amritsar massacre, where thousands of East Indians were slaughtered. The white man brought them there, emptied all his clips on them, killed women, children, men. And he was a kid at the time, and when he grew up, he knew, yo, they killed my people. So he came to some event in London, I believe, and then he went and killed the man, shot him a few times, killed the man that killed his people. And he and his people should honor him for that, man. At least he wasn't a sellout like Gandhi. His name was Udham Singh. They should honor him for that. And I believe in certain parts of India, they have Udham Singh Day and all of those kind of things. But he's not celebrated as Gandhi. Why? Because Gandhi was a sellout, man. But is there anyone that is that about it as well?
We say Salakism.
Go ahead.
You say Gandhi was a sellout.
Gandhi was a sellout, man.
But just like Shaquille O'Neal and the rest of those black rappers, basketballers and entertainers, just like them, right?
Can you see them? Honestly, with them, all they want is money. So with Shaquille O'Neal and them, they know the Israelites are black, but he ain't trying to mess up his money. So he's just gonna tell you whatever. He's just thinking, nah, I'm not messing up my money, so I'm just gonna make out like, you get me. What Kyrie Irving saying is wrong. He don't want to mess his money up. Hold on, let me get the next page.
But he's a sellout though, right?
1,000,000%. Well, it is what you'll find is most black men with money are, because they don't want to give up. They have to give up everything in order to not be a sellout.
But they don't have anything though. Everything's hired to them. Everything's hired to them though, isn't it?
Well, they're millionaires, and he don't want to. He's in his mind. He's thinking, I don't want to be like the regular black man. I don't want to be wage to wage, and so he's trying to keep the Jewish man sweet and the oppressor sweet, so that way he can keep all his business contracts. And really, that's not really your money, because when they're ready to take it off, you'll end up losing $2 billion overnight, like Kanye West. So really, it's not ours. This is where we should store our treasure up in heaven, man. Like the Bible says, we store our treasure up there. Guess what? They could never get to it. They could never get their hands on it. Quatazar, give me this, page 50 and 51, the highlighted part.
So they're just a hole for the white man then, right?
So I can say that again?
They're just a hole for the white man.
Basically.
As the war intensified,
go ahead.
And with inadequate manpower available, Britain turned to its colonies.
So now they didn't have enough manpower, and then Britain turned to its colonies. So because they didn't have enough manpower, they then turned to their colonies. And who happened to be Britain's colonies? Most of the Caribbean, man. India was a British colony, all of these places. So they then turned to those people to fight for them. Go ahead.
And appealed to both white and black colonial.
And they appealed to what?
Both white and black colonial subjects.
So they appealed to both white and black colonial subjects. Go ahead.
To bolster military ranks.
So now they started telling black people, really, they didn't want black people in their wars. They didn't want black people to fight white, because they didn't like the idea of black people harming white soldiers. That's documented also in history. That's why they put you in the trenches all there, and you died from trench foot. Had your leg amputated because why? All the diseases and all them things. Go ahead.
The need for black recruits became more urgent.
The what?
The need for black recruits.
Really, they didn't want to recruit you, black ass. But the need for black recruits became more urgent. Why?
In 1940, after the fall of France.
After the fall of France, France was getting whooped, man. And they said, damn, before we get whooped, we better go to them colonies. We better go bring some black soldiers to fight for us, because we're getting whooped right now. Go ahead.
And the loss of British troops.
And the loss of British troops, meaning what? They didn't want you in it at first, but because British troops was getting washed up, because the Germans was destroying them and was all over them, and was dropping doodle bombs and those things all over them, and the British was sleeping in them Anderson shelters in their house, which is like a little metal shelter. They were sleeping in all of these shelters in their house, and they were scared to death. And you'd hear the doodle bombs. It sounded like a little. It was like a ticking noise. You'd hear it, and then once you don't hear it, something's about to blow up. Because they was getting whooped like that, Germany had some next kind of technology. And then that's why they turned to you and said, damn, maybe we can use these black people. Go ahead.
So lucky, sir.
Go ahead.
Germany's Timon in the Bible. Timon, right? In the Bible.
Can't I believe Germany is, Germany is Timon.
Right, Tuada, sir. Shalom.
At Dunkirk, and then the Battle of Britain, there was an uneasiness about recruiting black colonials.
So now it lets you know, with the Battle of Britain, there was an uneasiness about recruiting black soldiers. They didn't even want black people in the military. And it tells you there was an uneasiness about recruiting black soldiers. And because of that uneasiness is why you have a separate cenotaph to theirs. Is why you have unmarked graves because of this uneasiness. They didn't want black people in the military. Read on.
Yeah, Khan, Salaki, sir.
Go ahead.
That was Winston Churchill as well, who didn't want us in there, right?
Listen, none of them wanted us in there. Winston Churchill, Enoch Powell. Even though Enoch Powell made that speech about, he brought black women over to be nurses. But then once they got over here, people say Enoch Powell brought black people over here. But he made that rivers of blood speech, saying, damn, I find myself as the minority in my own country. Since all these immigrants is here, this place is going to become the rivers of blood. Because all black people do is kill each other. I don't want them here. He made that speech after he said he wanted stuff for the NHS. Because these other nurses was terrible at their job. He needed good nurses. And where did he find good nurses? In the Caribbean. He brought you over for labor. He didn't bring you over here for you to have freedom and have a good life and live like a British white woman. He didn't bring you over for that reason. He brought you over here to work like a slave.
Right.
Don't ever say Enoch Powell brought us over here and gave us this and that. Because Enoch Powell made the rivers of blood speech. I got his autobiography somewhere in PDF. I need to buy the book, but it's so expensive. I'm going to hold out on that one until they bring the price down. But read on.
There was uneasiness about recruiting black colonials because of the feeling of nationalism had grown in the colonies in the 1930s.
And things was going on in the 1930s. Go ahead.
Yet most colonial servicemen joined up because they remained loyal to the mother country.
Listen, man, it's letting you know black men joined up because they remain loyal to the mother country. We should never remain loyal to Great Britain.
That's right.
Britain is no mother to black people, man.
Right.
This is a household for black people. Why would we join the military? Britain is no mother to us. Read on.
As they had done in the past, such as when they gave support during the First World War.
And the support we gave in the First World War was that £10 million which they got from the Caribbean, and all that sugar that they came, and Marcus Garvey sending that telegraph, they was giving support to Great Britain from World War I. You would have thought black people would have learned their lesson that Britain don't love us, man. You would have thought that black people would have learned their lesson that Great Britain hates black people and we should never fight for them. You would have thought we would have learned our lesson. Is there any more on that, Quatzar? Quatzar, any more on that? Is there any more on that?
That's it.
That's it. All right, no sir. And now, hold on. Let me pull up something else, man. Hold on. You heard it? Have you ever heard of the Christmas truce?
Was that in the war where they both at Christmas time both enemies kind of got together and party and drunk and left black people outside and left them on the sidelines? Is that what you're talking about?
Calm that one there.
Yeah, Carl, I heard about that.
All right, so now let me just share it to the screen. So now, for those who don't know, this is called this is a Christmas truce. So now during World War One, what you'll find is during Christmas time, the British and the Germans, they called the truce. They was meant to be at war with each other, but what was they doing? Playing football together, man. Exchanging Christmas gifts, exchanging hugs, and they're meant to be at war with each other. And they had a Christmas truce during World War One. Can you read that from there, Hakim?
Carl, I've got it on my screen now. So Christmas truce, German. So lucky, I don't know that word there.
No, man, you can skip that. You can just go to the series.
Okay, right. The truce occurred 5 months after the hostiles had begun. Lulls occurred in the fighting as armies ran out of men and munition, and commanders reconsidered their strategies following the stalemate of the race to the sea and the indecisive results of the first battle of Ypres. Is it Ypres?
Yeah, go ahead.
In the week leading up to the 25th of December, French, German, and British soldiers crossed trenches to exchange seasonal greetings.
Imagine this is during World War. You're meant to be at war. They're coming out of their trenches to exchange seasonal greetings, man. Imagine a black man fought for your country and he can't even get a seasonal greeting. But you would go have a seasonal greeting with your enemy. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. In some areas, men from both sides ventured into no man's land on Christmas.
No man's land would be a place in between your trench and their trench. No man's land means it belongs to nobody, and you can get your head blown off there. So that's no man's land, because no man owned it. So if you was on no man's land, chances are there's fire coming from the other side. So that's why it's called no man's land. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. On Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, to mingle and to exchange food and souvenirs.
They exchanged food and souvenirs, man. This is during World War. You're meant to be at war, and you're exchanging gifts and souvenirs. They're exchanging Christmas gifts. Black man, you was dying in these wars. Meanwhile, they weren't even taking the war serious. They was exchanging greetings and Christmas gifts and all of those things. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. There were joint burial ceremonies.
And there were joint burial ceremonies. Imagine this. How are you having a joint burial ceremony with the man that killed your man? Imagine this man's British like you, and this man's German like him, and you're killing each other, and then you're having joint burial ceremonies. The British and the Germans didn't take this war serious. And black man, you joined this war and you died, man. Guess what? They didn't have no joint burial ceremony for you, though. When black bodies, they didn't even recover half the black bodies, man. You know, after the war, you'd rarely see a black body come back on the plane with the British flag draped over it. You'd never see that, man, because they didn't care about black people like that. Read on.
So, like yourself, if I could, that just tells me that the white man knew who his brother was anyway.
Exactly. Those at war with his brother, they can exchange Christmas gifts. Those at war with his brother, and that's why they had it in a way where they didn't want black men killing white soldiers. Though they was at war with Germans, they didn't want a black man killing a German. Why? Because they understand that they're brothers, man, and they don't want another man to harm their brother. So that's why they made you dig the trench for the whole day, because that's what they understood. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. There were joint burial ceremonies and prisoner swaps.
See, so now prisoners, the swap prisoners, they'll be like, you know what? You give me back this man and you take this one. I guarantee you, there wasn't swapping black prisoners, man. They'll be like, nah, kill him, we don't care about them niggas. They'll be like, kill him, we don't care about them niggas. They ain't swapping no black prisoners, man. Go ahead.
And Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
We didn't even get proper burials either, did we? Like,
not at all. The thing is this: if they captured a black soldier, they would kill him because they know that he ain't worth nothing. The only prisoners of war was who? The white ones that they would actually keep in prison, and it's documented that they was kept in decent conditions, but the black ones was killed and run over. They'll tell you that the black ones was run over by tanks and all of those things. This is the part of the war that they don't tell you about. All these things is documented that black men was run over by tanks and so forth. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan, the water, sir. While several meetings ended in carol singing.
In what?
Carol singing.
Imagine this. We're fighting this war for them and we're dying. We're sending them all our money, that 10.5 million, and the British and the Germans is carol singing together, man. They're singing Christmas songs together. Meanwhile, we're fighting a war for them, and both of them hate us. And they're singing and dancing, exchanging gifts, and carol singing together. Go ahead.
Karawan Khan. Men played games of football with one another.
They played what?
Football with one another.
During the midst of World War II, they're playing football together, man. The British and the Germans is playing football together when they're meant to be having a war. They're meant to be having a war and they're playing football together, man. They ain't taking this war serious. Meanwhile, we out here dying for them getting trench foot. We can't play football, why? Because we've got trench foot. But they're out there playing football in no man's land. Hey, go ahead, Hakan.
So like you said, they made a film about that as well, you know.
About this.
They made a film with flipping this actor. Yeah, they made a film about it, and I can't remember. It's an old film back in the day, where England and Germany were playing a football match, and Pele was in it as well. Do you remember?
I ain't got a clue. So lucky.
Yeah, Pele was in it as well. Yeah.
I said it's called Celebrating Christmas.
Yeah, there was what happened there. They were playing football. They made a film about the football. But they was at war with each other.
Damn. If you find it, let me know. Because listen, I love watching them old films.
I'll find out which one. I'll find out what it is and send it over to you.
Yeah, find out. Watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. No sweat. Creating one of the most memorable images of the truce. So lucky.
No, they call this a memorable image of the truce. They call it a memorable image of the truce. So now they loved all of this, man. Meanwhile, black people's dying and dropping dead. Go ahead.
Kadwan Khan.
Actually, that, for time's sake, we can drop that. So now that's called the Christmas truce. So then the Christmas truce during the war. All right, let me pull up. Hold on, let me get my. Wait a minute. Let me see if we can get YouTube on this one. Give me 1 second.
What's the actor's name?
Give me 1 second. No, I can't find it on that one. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
Michael Caine was in it.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine was in it. That's how old it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a watch.
Yeah, they were prisoners of war, coached by English captain John Colby. Michael Caine.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a watch.
I'm gonna have a look at it. Escape to Victory. That's what it's called.
It's called Escaping Victory.
Escape to Victory. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it one day.
Yeah.
So now I was trying to find the video, but I couldn't find it. But now there's a thing called unmarked graves. Now it's common knowledge that black people had unmarked graves. Why did they have unmarked graves? Why? Because they was black, and they was refused a burial. They was refused a burial. Hold on, give me 1 second. And this is how you know they didn't care. Hold on. Let me see if this is the right article. So yeah, all right. This is the one I need. So now there's a man by the name of Water Tull. He was notorious, and he was a strong man in the army. Strong man in the army. You do know when black people got killed in the army, they never recovered their bodies. Why? Because they're black. Nothing more, nothing less. So now this is Water Tull. So this is how Water Tull died in 1918, World War I. So it says killed in action. It says on the 25th of March 1918, Water Tull was killed in action in northern France during the Second Battle of the Somme. Despite brave efforts from his men, his body was never recovered. He was just 29 years old. Now they told me his body was never recovered. So you're thinking, okay then, they couldn't recover his body. The reason his body is not recovered is because he's a black man. That's why his body is not recovered, man. His body is not recovered. Why? Because black men was put in unmarked graves. Let me see if I look. Let me type it in.
What do you want me to type in? So unmarked graves.
Yeah, I'm going to type it here as well. Black men unmarked graves.
Black man.
Let's see if anything comes up. See here is hold on. See it says Toronto man Hold on.
So here, unmarked 21 unmarked graves are discovered in Tulsa race massacre.
No, hold on. I think I got one here. Let me just. So this one says Welsh has forgotten Black history from unmarked graves to sailors and war heroes.
Yeah,
To mark Black History Month, we look through the records for rarely remembered tales. Imagine this. So the black man is in an unmarked grave, and theirs is just a gravestone. There's probably nothing in there. There's probably nothing in there. So now, black people had unmarked graves. Let's look at where the white man's buried. It's called a war cemetery.
War cemetery, you know.
Listen, and it kind of looks like this.
Oh, can't. Yeah, I see that.
So the war cemetery. For some reason, this one don't let me. Hold on, wait a minute. I think I need to go down. No, I can't get a big picture of it, but
I can see it on mine. It's not giving me a good picture either. Actually, image.
like this.
What have you got to images? What have you got to images?
Yeah, got it on there now.
Yeah.
So now, this is how theirs looks. That's how their war cemeteries look, and they can't have your black ass in there. So what do they do? What do they do? Unmarked grave for you, because they don't want you buried with their warriors, man. That's what they call them. They don't want you buried with their military. So what they do is they call yours an unmarked grave. Yours is called an unmarked grave because they don't want you buried in there. But they lie to you and make you believe, yeah, we couldn't recover their body. How come they can recover every white man's body though? All of them they recover and give them an honorable burial. You mean to tell me they can find Bin Laden and all these things, but then they can't find Watertoe's body till this day? It's because they didn't care about him because he was a black man. If a black man dies dead, they just leave you there. And they refuse to bury you, man. Even the Bible says, listen, they refuse to bury you, man. And that's what they refuse to do. They refuse to bury you. All right, let me stop sharing that now. Hold on. All right, so for time's sake, let me go into. All right, let me go into something else real quick. So now we're gonna go into the Queen's German roots, man. That's what we're gonna go into, man. That most people don't know. We're gonna go into the Queen's German roots. Quatazar, I need you to hold up this for me. Quatazar. I don't think you can hear me. All right, so now we need the chart. All right, we're just gonna quickly get this chart. Quatazar, hold this up for me. I need this in front of the camera. Hold this up for me in front of the camera. I just need this. Just so we can point out where they came from. So just hold it up like that and I'll just point to it.
A little bit further back, other one.
You need it a bit further back?
Little back, yeah. All
right. Can you see the whole thing?
You can see most of it. Which part are you going to? The left, middle, or right first?
Towards the bottom. So now, can you see all of it?
Yeah, I can see. No, it's got to go back a little bit more, and I can see.
Hold on.
Round about there, yeah.
Toward now?
Yeah, that should be fine there, yeah. Can't.
All right, so now, what you'll find is, where are they on there? So now you'll find Henry VIII is there. So now you'll come down here.
Can't see your hand, Salaki, I can't see your hand, sir.
Lift it up as well.
Yeah.
The way so bent. Damn, it's gonna be hard with this chart. All right, then, so...
Yeah, where's your hand? Yeah.
All right, then, so now, the beginning of the German house, let's see where it started. The beginning of the German house started here.
Can't see it, so where's your hand?
All right, bring it here. Can you see this
here? Yeah.
So that's King George the First.
A little bit to the left, sir. You're going to, yeah.
This way.
Yeah.
All right, that's King George the First.
Which so where, sir?
That's King George the First.
Okay, I got it, yeah.
So now that's when the royal family went to a German house. He's from the House of Hanover. So now he's a German who should have never been sitting on the throne. He should have went to a Jacobite, but what did they do? They banned the Jacobites from ever ruling. and then they went to a maternal line. You'll find that King James' granddaughter married a German man. So you'll find that she married a German prince when she was not supposed to, and they went to a maternal line. Usually they go to a paternal line through the father's line. They didn't want to go through the father's line. Why? Because a Jacobite would have been on the throne. They kicked him off the throne. Why? Because they didn't. James VII and them was Catholic, so they got rid of them, and obviously they wanted England to stay Protestant.
Right.
So obviously his fathers and stuff was Protestant, but obviously he was a Catholic. James VII.
So lucky, sir. So we were supposed to be on the throne of England too.
Yes, the Jacobites. It was a black line that was ruling England.
What? Salaki, I need to read. What year was that, sir?
What year was this? This would have been like the 1600s, 1700s.
1700s. How would I find that on Google? Would I just Google that?
Yeah, there's books because King James ruled in what, the 1600s. So it was around that time. So after King James, you had King Charles I and so forth. And then
sorry, Salaki, sir, what was that? After
King Charles I, but he got beheaded by he got killed by Oliver Cromwell. So then Oliver Cromwell became Lord Protector for 11 years where there was no monarch. Then after that, you had who? Charles II come on the throne. After Charles II, it was meant to be James VII and so forth. But then they banished the line because obviously they wanted England to remain Protestant. So now they passed the line to this imposter George I.
Where, sir?
Hanover.
Put your hand, sir, Salakia.
The house of Hanover, which is here. Can you see it?
Where's your hand?
Can you see it here? Can you see it?
Yeah.
House of Hanover. So this is George I. So then the line, he's German. This is a German house. He became the king of Great Britain, coming from a German family.
Right.
Whereas who should have been king? Should have been who? King James II. It should have been King James II.
Right.
It should have been King James II.
She's a black man, right?
But then they didn't let King James rule because why he was a Jacobite.
Right.
And that's why they call him James the Pretender, meaning he's pretending to be king. This was in 1685. So now, they was looking for an heir. They passed it to George I. So after George I, the line's gone to George II, his son. It's gone to George III. It's gone to George IV. It's gone to King William. And then it's gone down to Queen Victoria.
Right.
That, this is all a German line. And then after the Queen Victoria, it went down to King Edward VII.
Right.
After that, it went to George V. This is all a German line. After that, it went down to who? King Edward VIII.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure King Edward is the one that abdicated the throne.
You have to lift it up a bit, sir. Salakia, sir, to interrupt you. Can you lift it up a bit? So I can see what. Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
I believe he abdicated the throne because he wanted to do what Harry did and marry an American woman. So the throne then passed to George VI, and this is a whole German line. It passed to George VI. George VI then had a daughter. His daughter was Queen Elizabeth II, who then had a son who is now Charles, who is King Charles. So they all come from a German line from George I. That's what makes them German. So now we're going to go into it now.
Salakia, so King James, who it was supposed to go to, right? What tribe, Salakia, was he from?
King James, the Jacobites, they was from the tribe of Judah.
Right. How did they get over here then? I mean, and be king? How was he able to be?
Because they was in Scotland, and because they was in Scotland, what you had is Henry VIII's daughter. No, Henry VIII's sister, Margaret Tudor, she got married to James IV. And then James IV had kids. And then when they was looking for an heir, the closest heir to the throne of England was King James, because obviously his mother, Mary, Queen of Scots, got beheaded. At that time, you had Elizabeth on the throne. And on her deathbed, she goes, yeah, give the throne to King James. And then because she was already the Queen of Ireland and England, it passed to King James, and at that time, King James was already the King of Scotland. So then King James got 3 thrones at one time.
Right.
He was already King of Scotland. And Henry VIII became King of Ireland. And then it passed down. And then once the British throne came to King James got all of them thrones. So now, that's how they're a family of Germans. So now, has anybody seen? Hold on, let me pull up a picture. Proof that the Germans and they love the Nazis. So hold on, let me find the photo. What time is it? Oh, let me just quickly try to go through this real quick. I might have to go over by 5 minutes. So lucky.
Can't no sweat, sir.
So now, hold on. Let me see if we can get this picture big. So now, you see like how I was saying they Germans and they have links to the Nazis.
Can't.
Hold on. Let me just present my evidence. Give me 1 second. Let me just.
Germans got links to it. I thought the Nazis were the children of the Germans. That's what I thought.
All right. So now let me add this to stream.
I thought.
Has anybody saw this picture? Listen, this is Queen Elizabeth doing the Nazi salute. Queen Elizabeth II of England doing the Nazi salute. This little girl right around here is Queen Elizabeth doing the Nazi salute.
Who's the little one? Officer Dungabar. The little one in the white dress.
And then the other one would be her younger sister. So this is their family. This is Edward VIII teaching the Nazi salute to the Queen. The Queen is doing the Nazi salute. Meanwhile, they're meant to hate the Germans and have been at war with the Germans. So now, the Queen's doing the Nazi salute. And Elizabeth is related to George I, who is a German. Now, they changed their name. Does anybody know why they changed their name? Now, originally, their name was Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. That was their name, which is a German name. Their original name was Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. And they changed their name to the House of Windsor. You know why they changed their name to the House of Windsor? Because at the time, Germany had warplanes called the Gotha bomber, and their surname was Gotha, named after the German warplanes. Hold on, let me type it in, see if we can get it. Let me type in the Gotha bomber.
Gotha
warplane. Cool. So now the Gotha, look, here it is. All right then. Let me just scroll down. So now this says, hold on. So lucky, where's that come off like that? Hold on. I'm trying to find. So now here it says the Gotha. So it says the Gotha. The Gotha GV was a heavy bomber used by I don't know how the hell you say that German stuff, during World War I, designed for long-range service and built by Gotha. And guess what? These Gotha bombers was doing what? These Gotha bombers was landing in England and blowing up England. So what did they have to do? They had to change their name from a German-sounding name to hide the fact that they was German. They had to hide the fact that they was German. Now, Prince Philip, who is Queen Elizabeth's husband, he had a German surname also. He had to change his surname to what? Mountbatten. But before he had a German surname, he changed his surname from hold on. Let me get it so people know I'm not making it up. Hold on, let's just type in Prince Philip original surname. All right, so this, hold on. Now his original surname wasn't Mountbatten. Let's see if it gives the proper one. Give me 1 second. No, it's not in there. Let me just type in the surname and see if it comes up. But his original surname was Schleswig or whatever. All right, see, this is his original surname. See, so now it says House of Glucksberg Wikipedia. The House of Glucksberg, shortened from House of Schleswig-Holstein Sonderburg, is a collateral branch of the German House of Oldenburg. So that was his original name. He changed it to Battenberg, took his mom's name, why? To hide the fact that he was German. Let me just type in Prince Philip after it, see if anything comes up. because this was his original name. See, Philip of, no, that's a different Philip. Hold on. That's his original name, but he's changed it. He changed it to give his name a more British sounding name and a less German name. So he changed it. He took on his mother's surname, which was Battenberg. And now, because of World War One and Two, Philip's family was banned from the wedding because of what the public would think. Why? Because Prince Philip, his family was all German Nazis. His family was all German Nazis. His sisters married German princes who supported the Nazis. And now here the sister called Cecilia or Cecile, and she married George Donatus, and they both joined the Nazi Party in 1937. They died in a plane crash. So now let's type in, just so you know I'm not lying, let's type in Nazi Party. They joined it in 1937, I believe. See, here it is. It says Princess Cecile of Greece and Denmark, by the birth, who became the whatever. Let me just find the part. See, she married George Donatus, pretended to the throne of the Grand Duchy of Hesse. She was also the third eldest sister to Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark. Later, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, and the paternal aunt of Charles III. She's the aunt of Charles III, man. And these is Germans that joined the Nazi Party. Let's see the part where she joins the Nazi Party. Hold on. Let me see the part where she. Hold on. Let me scroll down because they joined the Nazi Party in 1937. I'm just trying to find it, see if it's in here. All right, hold on. I can't find it. Let me just type in. Give me 1 second. Her and her husband both joined it. So now, yeah, here you go. It says, initially distant from the Nazi movement, she joined the Nazi Party at the same time as her husband in May 1937. Soon after, the princess and family embarked on a trip to the United Kingdom, where they attended the wedding of her brother-in-law, Louis, Prince of Hesse. Listen, man. Prince Philip's sister was a part of the Nazi Party, man. That's one of his sisters. He had about 3 or 4 sisters, and they all married German princes. Every last one of them married German princes. So now, this sister ended up dying in what? A plane crash? Her and her husband? Now, let's see. Let's see. Let's see Prince Philip with a ton of Nazis. How can you still there? Oh, he dropped out. Oh, it's okay. Hold on, let me add it back in.
It's lucky, man.
I put the speaker on quite as well. I put the speaker on. Can you hear me, Kian?
Can't, sir.
All right, most time, Christ. So now, let me see if I can just get this picture larger. So now, this is Prince. Now this is Prince Philip. Hold on. This is Prince Philip that was married to Queen Elizabeth. Standing. Oh, all right, this one wants to play out. Give me 1 second. All right, let's see if you can see it from here. So, all right, here it is. All right, so this is Prince Philip standing next to Nazis. Can you see it? There's Prince Philip there.
Can't.
All right, let me just go back a page because this ain't allowing me. All right, so if you can see here, this is Prince Philip in a picture with Nazis. So there he is there, because they had ties to Nazi Germany, man. That's Philip making out like he's all British, and they're meant to be at war with the Germans, and he's in a picture with the Nazis. This is the Nazi uniform. Now let's look at what those men are wearing closely. Now let's pull up a picture of Nazi uniform. Let's just pull up any picture of Nazi uniform and go to images. See how them men was dressed like this? Them men was dressed like this. Because the royal family have ties to Nazi Germany, man.
So lucky.
Go ahead.
Have you put another picture up that I can't see?
Is it not
Is it-
showing?
No, I've got Prince Philip here in the circle, but I haven't
Alright,
can't see anything else though.
I think I need to hold on. Let me. All right, so now can you see it now? Hold on, this one.
Can't. Oh yeah.
All right, so now this is the same uniform that the men was in, who Philip was in the picture with.
Right.
Philip was in the picture with them, man. Philip has ties to Nazi Germany, and he came to England and bamboozled everyone and made out that it was all British. The Queen made out she was all British, and there's pictures of the Queen doing the Nazi salute with her father and her family. Listen, man, they all lied and bamboozled you, man. Now, Prince Philip had another sister called Margarita, however you pronounce it. She married Prince Gottfried, or Gottfried, however his name's pronounced. And he had the next sister, Theodora, and they married men that was in the German army. They all married German noblemen. They all married German princes. Philip had another sister called Sophia, and she married Prince Christoph of Hesse. Now, let me get a next picture of Prince Philip's sister. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me see if we can put up the. Hold on. Give me 1 second. The internet wants to move slow today. Give me 1 second. All right, it's not giving me the picture. Give me 1 second. Why ain't it giving me the hold on? All right, this is probably. All right, so now this let me stop sharing that one. Let me share this next one. So now Prince Philip had a sister called Sophia, and this is Prince Philip's sister. Now you probably won't see that clear, but can you see this picture here, Hakim? Hold on, I need to add it on this one. It's not gonna let me zoom in.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Okay. Wait, can you see this picture here?
Yeah. Khan, yeah. Who's that? Salakia?
All right, so now this is Prince Philip's sister here.
Khan.
You see her?
Yeah, Khan.
And guess who she's sitting opposite? Hitler. Can you see Hitler right there?
God damn.
This is the Prince of England, Queen Elizabeth's husband. This is Charles's auntie. This is King Charles's auntie sitting opposite Hitler. And she was inspired by Hitler, man. She loved Hitler, and they all was part of the Nazi party. Hold on, let me go one further. Let me stop sharing that. Hold on. Hold on, let me go one further.
Well, we're being ruled by Nazis.
Exactly.
God damn.
Exactly, and most people don't even know that. So now with her, hold on, let me go back. With her, she had a son. She had a son, and guess what she did with her son? She named him after Adolf Hitler, man. She named her son after Adolf Hitler. You don't believe me? Let me share the screen one more time. His name is Prince Karl Adolf of Hesse.
Adolf of what, Salakia?
Adolf of Hesse, of where they ruled. Hold on, let me screen share it. All right, let me add this one to stream.
Mm-mm.
What, they don't believe me? Look, it says Prince Carl of Hesse, nephew of the Duke. This is nephew of Prince Philip, man. It says born. Oh, hold on, let me click it so it opens. Prince Carl of Hesse, nephew of the Duke of Edinburgh. Look. So here it says born 26th of March 1937 at Berlin. Prince Carl Adolf. She named him after Hitler, man. She named her son after Hitler. Guess who this son is? The nephew to Prince Philip. Guess who this son? Guess who Adolf of Hesse is? Cousin to King Charles III, who is the current king right now, man. That's his first cousin. Their first cousins, man.
No wonder why we're at the bottom in England. Slovakia.
So, man, they love the Germans more than they love us because they're all family.
They're all family.
And Prince Philip tried to lie and say he don't deal with his German side of the family. That's a lie. Prince Philip maintained a close relationship with his German relatives, and he wanted them at his funeral, man. He wanted them at his funeral. And guess who came to his funeral? Donatus, Landgrave of Hesse, the grandson of Philip, man. So now let's look up Donatus. Who Donatus is? Donatus, Landgrave of Hesse. Hold on.
Donatus,
Landgrave of Hesse, Nazi. Just type in that, it'll come up.
Wow, I'm glad the Queen dead anyway.
So now,
I'm glad she did, man.
So now this is Philip Landgrave of Hesse. This man's hold on. So now Philip Princess Landgrave of Hesse, it says he joined the Nazi Party in 1930 and when they gained power with the appointment of Adolf Hitler as Chancellor in 1933, he became Ober President of the Prussian Providence. Listen, man. They was all part of the Nazis. And at Philip's funeral, who did he invite to his funeral? At his funeral,
You're breaking up on the one.
Can you hear me
breaking up, sir?
Can you hear me now?
You're breaking up. Can't hear you at all.
What about now?
Can't hear you.
Hold on. What about now? I think it might be your side. Adolphus, what's the sound sounding like? Give me a one if you can hear me toward. Give me a one if you can hear me toward. It might just be yours. So now, this man is Philip Landgrave of Hesse. He joined the Nazi Party. And then guess who came to Prince Philip's funeral, which was only like, a year or two ago? His grandson, Donatus. All right, let's type him in. Donatus, Landgrave of Hesse. This man here is the grandson of that man that joined the Nazi Party. Now let's type in Philip's funeral. So now, this Nazi, the grandson of this Nazi who is related to Prince Philip, he kept in contact with them. Why? Because Donatus, Landgrave of Hesse, came to Philip's funeral. It says it right here. It says in April 2021, Donatus attended the funeral of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. The Landgrave of Hesse was present in his role as representative of the House of Hesse, into which Philip's two sisters, Cecile and Sophie, had married. They married into Nazi families. And that is the ties between the royal family and the Nazis. They're all one and the same. They all come from George I. They're all Nazis. Queen Elizabeth and the Nazis salute in the photo. Prince Philip was seen in the picture with Nazis at his sister's funeral. And with that, that brings us to the end of the class. Clap it up. We're going to wrap it up. All right, we're done. All right, Paul, I'll give you the security announcements and we're out of here.
All right. This is the ISUPK security announcements, where the ISUPK started out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to ship. They are Okay, man.
Take your time, take your time.
They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to marry, Masalakia, to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which a brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21. Malachi chapter 3 verses 8 to 10 means 10th in Hebrew, Masha'ara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. If the treasury department or a teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations.
Feast of Hanukkah, December 17th.
Or Akim and Akoff to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a tutor in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. To that we say Amajim, Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yah Shabbat
Yahweh Hashem Yah Shabbat
class is missed.
Shalom, shalom.